Hi guys, Mr. Anderson here for Science Lab 7, and today we're going to be talking about matter. Matter. Now, of course, matter is anything that has mass and takes up space, right? If it has mass, some amount of matter, and it takes up space, right, which is volume. So if it has mass and has volume, then it matters, right? It's made of matter. So like you're made of matter, and I'm made of matter, and all the stuff around us, pretty much everything's made of matter. Now, matter is composed of small, super tiny things. Like you think back to things that are really big and they go to the smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller things until you get to molecules, right? Molecules are made of even smaller things called atoms, and those are made of even smaller things. But a molecule, let's take a look at the definition of a molecule. A molecule is the smallest particle of a substance that can still be identified as that substance. So like, let's say you had a glass of water. And you looked at what is the smallest piece of that water that you can have and have it still be water. Well, that would be a water molecule, right? The smallest piece of water you can have and have it still be water would be a water molecule. And that word molecule is kind of neat. It comes from a Latin word that means little mass, which makes sense because it's the smallest bit of that stuff you can have and have it still be that stuff, right? The smallest bit of that substance you can have and have it still be that substance is a molecule. And to give you an idea of how small these things are, they are crazy, crazy small. So if, let's say you had a penny and you tried to line up water molecules, which is a pretty small molecule, but if you had lined up water molecules end to end to end to end and you tried to go across that penny, it would take 60 million water molecules to go from one side of that penny to the other side of that penny. Now that's pretty small stuff. But really, all of those water molecules are going to be the same, right? If it's water, if it's H2O, it's going to be the same no matter where you find it, right? Whether that water is, in a drinking fountain, or the water is in a creek, or a stream, or a lake, or the ocean, or your toilet. If it's the water part, H2O is going to be the same because that's what makes it water, right? H2O. If we separated it into the H's and the O, that's not water, right? The H, that's not water. The O, that's not water. Okay, but together, that makes water. That makes water. All right, so what we're going to look at today is we're looking at matter. And when we describe matter, when we talk about matter, we want to talk about its physical properties, and we want to talk about its chemical properties. All right, so physical properties, here, write this down, check this out. Physical properties are characteristic of matter that can be observed by using any of your senses. So when we describe matter, we talk about its physical properties. We talk about its size, its shape, its color, its odor, its texture, its taste, but also other things that aren't going to change what it is. Things like its hardness, or its density, or its melting point, or boiling point, or its state of matter. These are all physical properties. So let's take a look at this object. Can you name some physical properties about this object? Of course you can. Now, another way to describe objects is to look at their chemical properties. Now, chemical properties it's another way to describe something, but it's looking at how that kind of matter behaves when it's in the presence of another kind of matter. What happens when we take this kind of matter and we put it with this other kind of matter? Is there something that happens there? All right. So an example might be when iron is in the presence of oxygen. Those two things combine to form iron oxide, which is rust, right? So iron rusts. That's a chemical property. When iron is in the presence of oxygen, it forms iron oxide. Okay. So when we want to describe matter, we want to describe it by talking about its physical properties, using our senses, or its chemical properties. What happens when it's in the presence of something else? And these are great ways, interesting things when you're looking at matter. All right, well, this is Mr. Anderson signing off for Science Lab 7. Stay curious.